This first-of-a-kind global operation achieved an outrageous amount of success, as I'll soon describe in more detail.
Here's how it all worked. Criminals tend to share information over encrypted phone apps. So the FBI took down two popular ones, Phantom Secure and Sky Global.
ANØM's distributors, administrators, and agents had so much confidence in the secrecy of their devices.
It's just before sunrise in a quiet Australian suburb. The homes are dark, the air thick with sleep. A dog barks faintly in the distance, a lonely sound swallowed by the stillness. But in moments, this piece will explode.
This first-of-a-kind global operation achieved an outrageous amount of success, as I'll soon describe in more detail. But as remarkable as the scope and scale of its results is the scope and scale of the planning, patience, and coordination required to pull it off.
Armed officers will smash through doors, their boots pounding hardwood floors. Flashlights will cut the gloom, catching the stunned faces of men who thought they were untouchable. Drug lords, hitmen, kingpins, hauled from their beds in an instant. This isn't one raid. It's a synchronized assault, rippling across continents, Asia, Europe, the Americas. A relentless storm crashing down on organized crime. This is Operation Trojan Shield. A true story, a brutal takedown masterminded by the FBI and their global allies. Over 800 arrests, tons of drugs seized, millions in cash and weapons torn from the shadows. And at its heart, a phone, an encrypted lifeline they trusted that the FBI turned against them. This is ANØM, how the FBI hacked the underworld. A sting so genius it rewrote the rules of the game.
Here's how it all worked. Criminals tend to share information over encrypted phone apps. So the FBI took down two popular ones, Phantom Secure and Sky Global, creating the need for something else. That something else was called Anom, but was secretly being run by the FBI and Australian Federal Police.
Let's rewind to the late 2010s, a time when crime didn't just thrive in back alleys or dark warehouses. It thrived in silence, in the invisible threads of encrypted communication. The underworld doesn't run on handshakes or whispered deals anymore. It runs on tech, specifically encrypted phones. These aren't the shiny smartphones you carry. They're stripped-down machines built for one purpose: to disappear. No cameras, no GPS, no apps to betray you. Just a blank slate for secrets. Politicians use them to dodge scandals. Militaries guard their plans. But the real buyers? The ones who keep this shadow market humming? Criminals, drug traffickers, arms dealers, assassins who'll pay a fortune to stay off the grid. By 2018, this wasn't a niche game. It was an empire. Companies like Phantom Secure, Sky ECC, and Infiltrating were the titans of this world. Phantom Secure, led by Vincent Ramos, was the gold standard, charging up to 20 grand for a 6-month subscription. That's pocket change when you're moving billions in cocaine or plotting hits for the Sinaloa cartel. These phones weren't just secure, they were invincible. If the cops got close, one remote command, a kill switch, wiped them clean. Evidence vanished, cases died. For law enforcement, it was like chasing smoke. Every raid ended with a hollow prize, a dead device mocking their efforts. But the feds weren't sitting idle. By 2018, they'd had enough. Phantom Secure was the first to fall. The FBI tracked Ramos down after he bragged about shielding cartel murders, caught him in a sting that landed him behind bars. Sky ECC held out longer, but cracks were showing. Rumors of breaches, whispers of compromised chats. Then, in 2020, EncroChat went down hard. European cops broke its code, intercepting millions of messages, drug deals, assassinations, the works. The underworld reeled. Their shields were shattering, one by one. Criminals were exposed, paranoid, scrambling for a new way to talk. Their networks were naked without encryption. They needed a savior, and right on time, a new phone appeared on the scene. ANØM. It promised everything: privacy, anonymity, a fresh start. What they didn't know was that ANØM wasn't their lifeline. It was their trap. Enter AFU. Not his real name, just the initials we've got. His identity's locked in classified files, a ghost in this story. AFU wasn't a tech mogul or a coding prodigy. He was a hustler, a middleman who'd spent years peddling encrypted phones to Australia's worst. Bikers with blood on their boots, smugglers running dope along the coast. dealers stacking cash in Sydney penthouses. AFU knew them all. He'd worked with Hakan Ayik, the Facebook gangster, a loudmouth drug lord who posted his crimes online like a reality star, flaunting Ferraris and gold chains. Ayik was a cop magnet, but AFU stayed in the shadows, moving Phantom secure devices to the underworld's elite. When Phantom crashed in 2018, AFU didn't panic. He saw a void, a market begging for a new player. So he built ANØM. It wasn't fancy, just modified Google Pixel phones, cheap hardware with a custom twist, an operating system called Arcane. Open it up, and it looked normal. A calculator, a clock, fake apps like Netflix that did nothing. But punch in a secret pin and the mask slipped. An encrypted chat app flared to life, sleek, anonymous, packed with tricks. Randomized keypads to foil onlookers. End-to-end encryption. A kill switch to nuke the data if things got hot. AFU pitched it as the future, a phoenix from Phantom's ashes.
Had to be introduced into it. They had to have passwords, but once these organised crime groups got in and felt trusted, you saw them then distributing those.
He started small, handing out free ANØM phones to his old Aussie contacts, motorcycle gangs, cocaine runners, underworld vets. They loved it. This thing's bulletproof, they'd say, texting about meth drops and gun stashes. Word spread fast. By late 2019, AFU had a hit on his hands, hundreds of users growing daily. He scaled up, hiring coders, remote workers who thought they were building a legit privacy tool, not a crime machine. He played CEO of a scrappy startup, shipping Anom through black market channels. Orders poured in from Melbourne to Perth. Cash piled up. Anom wasn't just a phone, it was a movement. But AFU wasn't in it for the long haul. He had a secret, a play no one saw coming. Because AFU wasn't loyal to the criminals he served, he was about to sell them out, to the FBI. Picture this. It's late 2018 and a phone rings in a drab San Diego office. Andrew Young, a Department of Justice lawyer with years of grit under his belt, picks up. On the other end, AFU's attorney, voice tight with adrenaline. "My client's got something big," he says. "He wants to meet." Days later, Young's sitting across from AFU in a room with drawn blinds, tension thick as fog. AFU doesn't mince words. "I'm building Anom," he says, sliding a prototype across the table. "The perfect encrypted phone. And I'll give you a back door. Every user, every message, yours to see." The ask? A deal. Protection, immunity, a shield from whatever past sins he's running from. Young's mind spins. Why's AFU flipping? Maybe he's scared, too many enemies, too much heat from his Phantom days. Maybe the feds already have dirt on him, a noose tightening. The details are locked away, but Young doesn't need them. This is a golden ticket, a chance to infiltrate the untouchable. He's in. His team's in. There's just one snag. U.S. law bans domestic surveillance without a warrant. Stateside, this op's dead on arrival. So Young looks across the Pacific to the Australian Federal Police. The AFP jumps at it. They've been chasing these encrypted ghosts for years, watching drugs flood their streets, murders pile up, all coordinated on phones they can't crack. Young and the AFP strike a pact. AFU builds ANØM, seeds it into Australia's criminal swamp, and the AFP gets a secret feed, every message duplicated, rerouted to their servers, invisible to users. AFU hires his coders, none the wiser, and starts the rollout. By October 2019, the first ANØM phones hit the streets. A bikie texts about a meth drop in Brisbane. A smuggler plans a coastal run off Darwin. The AFP watches live as the first intercepted message blinks onto their screens. 50 kilos, midnight, East Dock. It's real. It's working. Young and the AFP have hacked the underworld's lifeline, and the criminals don't suspect a thing. The siege has begun, silent and unstoppable. Anom doesn't just grow, it explodes. By 21, it's got 12,000 users worldwide. Australian bikies coordinate turf wars over meth labs. Italian mafiosi plot money laundering through Swiss banks. New Zealand gangs move drugs across the Pacific. The FBI's still locked out. U.S. laws keep Young's hands tied. So he pivots again. Lithuania steps up, a quiet ally offering server space to funnel the intel stateside. Operation Trojan Shield takes shape, a global web tightening by the minute. And then there's Hakan Ayik, AFU's old buddy. The Facebook gangster's a rock star in this world. Gold chains, fast cars, a trail of selfies showing off his heroin empire. He's ANØM's biggest evangelist, pushing it to his network after EncroChat's fall in 2020. Ayik jets to Istanbul, Berlin, Dubai, meeting traffickers in smoky clubs, handing out ANØM phones like candy. "This is the real deal," he brags. "Uncrackable." He's got no clue he's the FBI's unwitting salesman, spreading their trap. In Sweden, a dealer known as the Ghost buys in, texting about a 60-kilo cocaine shipment off Gothenburg. He's all in, trusts ANØM with his life. They all do. The messages pile up. 17 million by the end. The Ghost plans a hit. He's late with the payment. Bury him at sea. An Italian boss shifts 10 million euros into crypto. Ayik boasts about a heroin haul from Afghanistan. The AFP and FBI drown in data, drug routes, murder plots, cash flows. It's a gold mine, but it's overwhelming. In Sweden, the Ghost's hit gets too close. Cops intervene, saving the target without tipping Anom's role. Lives hang in the balance daily. A dealer in Melbourne texts about torching a rival's warehouse. A trafficker in Spain orders a shipment of AK-47s. The feds can't act on everything. Too much, too fast. Lithuania's servers hum with the load, but legal limits loom. The operation's a runaway train, and it's about to hit the wall. June 8th, 21. Dawn breaks and the world changes. Lithuania's courts are days from pulling the plug. Time's up. After 3 years, Trojan Shield can't wait. The order goes out. Strike now. At sunrise, 9,000 cops in 16 countries move as one. Sydney homes raided, bikies dragged from their lairs, Stockholm piers locked down, the Ghost nabbed mid-shipment, Rome villas stormed, mafiosi cuffed in their silk robes, over 800 arrests in hours, 38 tons of drugs, cocaine, heroin, meth, seized in warehouses, ships, car trunks, 250 firearms, pistols, rifles, even a rocket launcher stacked in evidence rooms, $148 million in cash, and crypto ripped from safes and hard drives. The Ghost curses as cuffs snap on, his cocaine haul confiscated, Ayik bolts still a fugitive, hunted worldwide. The FBI steps into the spotlight. "We built ANØM. We ran it. You trusted us. And we won." It's a bloodbath for crime. Networks gutted, kingpins caged. Press releases call it unprecedented.
ANØM's distributors, administrators, and agents had so much confidence in the secrecy of their devices that they openly marketed them to other potential users as designed by criminals for criminals.
The underworld's on its knees, betrayed by the phone they swore by. But the story doesn't end with handcuffs. The fallout hits hard. 27 million messages logged, proof of deals, hits, empires, but courts start balking. Germany tosses ANØM chats as evidence, can't tie them to suspects beyond doubt. Australian trials drag, judges debating the backdoor's legality. If the data's ruled out, dozens, maybe hundreds, walk free. The Ghost's crew's already lawyering up, smirking and holding cells. And there's blood on the books. Joseph Cox's dark wire reveals at least one Swedish murder, planned on ANØM, went through while cops watched. A hitman in Italy slipped the net too, a body dumped in a vineyard. The FBI claims hundreds of lives saved. Interventions like the Ghost's foiled hit, but the dead stack up quietly. Was it worth it? Triumph's got a shadow, and it's growing. The underworld's hacked, but the hack's cracking under scrutiny. And then there's us. Encryption's not just for criminals. It's how journalists break corruption, how activists defy dictators. Anom was a lifeline for the underworld, sure, but it's also a mirror. If the FBI can turn it into a trap, what's next? Your WhatsApp, your Signal. Privacy's a battlefield now, and Trojan Shield just fired a shot across it. The feds hacked the underworld, 800 arrests, 38 tons of drugs, a $148 million haul, but they hacked something bigger too. Trust. This was real. A silent siege that tore through the shadows. Over 800 walked into it. Blind. The FBI pulled it off. Genius. Ruthless. Flawed. And as the dust settles, one question lingers. Who's really safe when the tools we rely on turn against us?